I caught my husband in our bed, with my best friend. That moment shattered everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and marriage. But here is the part no one expected, what I did next. This is not just a story of betrayal. This is a story of fire, of reclaiming my power, and of making sure that betrayal did not get the last word. If you have ever been lied to, cheated on, or broken by someone you trusted, then this story is for you. Stay with me until the end, because what I did to my cheating husband was never expected. Let me take a moment to thank each and every one of you who continues to support my journey. Your likes, your comments, your shares, and your subscriptions mean more to me than you can imagine. If you are new here, welcome. Please like this story if it grips you, subscribe for more powerful real-life experiences, and do not forget to comment below with your thoughts. Now, let me tell you how everything changed the night I found out who my husband truly was. The day began as an ordinary Tuesday in Dallas, Texas. The air was sticky with late summer heat, and I remember thinking how unusual it was for the cicadas to sing so loudly that early in the afternoon. Life had been stressful, but in my naive little heart, I still believed I had a marriage worth fighting for. I had been with Michael for 9 years, married for 7. To the outside world, we looked perfect, the successful real estate agent and the devoted homemaker. The man who kissed me on the forehead before work every morning, and the woman who believed that meant forever. But that night tore away every illusion. I had returned home earlier than expected. My yoga class had been cancelled, and I was eager to surprise Michael with dinner and maybe even rekindle the spark that had been fading between us. I drove into our neighborhood with music humming from the radio, clutching a grocery bag full of his favorite meal, steak and red wine. My heart was light, but something inside me twisted the moment I turned onto our street. His car was already in the driveway. I walked into the house quietly, the way you do when you want to playfully sneak up on someone you love. The lights in the living room were dim. My heels clicked against the hardwood floor, echoing in the silence. I set the grocery bag on the counter and noticed a trail, an unmistakable trail. His tie on the staircase. A woman's purse next to the sofa. Her perfume in the air. My chest tightened. I climbed the stairs slowly, one hand gripping the railing as if I needed it to hold myself upright. The sounds became clearer as I reached the landing. Gasps. Moans. My husband's voice, the same voice that once whispered I was his everything. I pushed the bedroom door open, and there they were. Michael, my husband, and Claire, my so-called best friend. Her skin glistened under the faint lamplight. His hands gripped her waist the same way they used to hold me. My body froze, but my mind exploded. Betrayal is not just pain. It is a hurricane ripping through your chest, tearing apart every certainty you thought you had. I screamed. They scrambled. Sheets flew. He stammered my name, while she pulled the blanket over her bare body, eyes wide like a guilty child caught stealing candy. Get out, I said. My voice was not shaky, though my hands trembled. I surprised even myself. Claire, get out of my house. She hesitated, looking at him for permission, as if my husband was the one who held authority here. That shattered me even more. Finally, she grabbed her clothes and bolted past me, the scent of her perfume lingering like poison in the air. That left me with him. Michael reached for me, his mouth spilling excuses. It is not what it looks like, please, just let me explain. Not what it looks like. My laugh was hollow, sharp. Do you think I am blind? Do you think I am a fool? I could barely breathe. I wanted to collapse. But something inside me burned hotter than my despair. I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I gave my 20s to. The man I built a life with. And I knew in that moment, my story with Michael was not going to end with tears. No. It was going to end with fire. For days after, I wandered through the house like a ghost. His apologies meant nothing. His promises were ash. At night, I lay awake replaying the scene again and again until the memory seared into my skull like a permanent scar. But in my silence, I began to plan. I started piecing together little details I had ignored, his late nights at work, his sudden need for privacy, the way he always seemed to guard his phone like it carried the launch codes for nuclear weapons. I realized then that this was not a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. And patterns, once exposed, can be broken. I gathered evidence quietly. I checked the bank statements. I found receipts, hotel rooms, expensive dinners, gifts I never received. He was living a double life, and he thought I would remain the dutiful wife, blind and loyal. He was wrong. One evening, as he sat at the dinner table pretending to care about my day, I stared at him with an icy calm. He asked why I was quiet. I smiled. Because I am learning, Michael. I am learning who you really are. That night, after he went to bed, I made the decision that would alter everything. What I did to him was never expected, not by him, not by our friends, not by anyone who thought they knew me. But betrayal changes a woman. It awakens a side of her she never knew existed. And I was ready to awaken mine. The story of what I did next is not one of weakness. It is one of power, of reclaiming my dignity, and of making sure that betrayal does not get the final word. But let me stop here, because the next chapter is where everything begins to unravel. Michael had no idea that the very next morning, would walk into his office and confront him in a way that would change his life, and mine, forever. The morning sun painted Dallas in golden streaks, but inside me, there was only storm. I dressed with precision, black blazer, sharp heels, red lipstick. Not because I wanted to impress anyone, but because I wanted armor. A woman preparing for battle does not wear comfort, she wears power. Michael left for work early, his usual routine. He still thought I was pretending not to know, still thought I was too fragile to face him head-on. He had no clue that I had spent the entire night printing documents, bank statements, receipts, text message screenshots I had pulled from a backup file. I had a folder in my purse that would expose him completely. I drove downtown, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. My mind replayed every lie he had told me, every, "I love you," he had whispered while hiding another woman in his arms. By the time I reached his office, my body felt electric, fueled by rage, heartbreak, and the terrifying thrill of what I was about to do. The receptionist looked startled when I walked in. I had been there dozens of times before as the smiling wife, the woman who brought cookies for his team. But today, I was someone else. "Is Michael in?" I asked. My voice was calm, steady, but my eyes told another story. She hesitated. "He is in a meeting, Mrs. Hart. Would you like me to?" "No," I interrupted. "I will wait inside." I did not give her the option to refuse. I pushed the glass door open and walked straight in. Michael sat at the head of the table with 3 of his associates. His face went pale the second he saw me. "Sweetheart," he stammered, rising to his feet. "What are you?" "Sit down," I said, my voice sharp as glass. The room went silent. His colleagues shifted awkwardly in their chairs, sensing the explosion brewing. Michael tried to laugh it off, but my stare froze him mid-smile. I placed the folder on the table and slid it toward him. "Do you want to explain this to your colleagues? Or should I?" He flipped the folder open, his hands trembling as the evidence stared back at him. Receipts for hotels, jewelry purchases, photographs of bank transfers. His face drained of color. "Excuse us," he muttered to the others, but I shook my head. "No. Let them hear it. Let them all hear the truth about who you are." One of his colleagues cleared his throat. "Maybe we should." "Stay," I ordered. My eyes never left Michael. "This man, your boss, your business partner, your supposed leader, has been cheating on his wife for years. Spending money from our joint accounts to fund his lies. Lying to my face, lying to all of you. Tell me, Michael, is this what leadership looks like?" He slammed the folder shut, his jaw tight. "Enough, Emily. We can talk about this at home." "No, Michael. We will not talk at home. We will talk here, where your mask cannot protect you. The room crackled with tension. His colleagues looked down, unsure whether to intervene. I leaned forward, my voice low but deadly. You thought you could humiliate me in silence. You thought I would swallow your betrayal and smile like the perfect wife. But you forgot something, Michael. You married a woman who knows how to fight back. His eyes flickered with anger, but beneath that, I saw fear. Get out, he hissed, his control slipping. I straightened my blazer and smiled coldly. No, Michael. You get out. Out of my life, out of my house, out of everything we built. Because after today, you will have nothing left. I walked out of that office with my head high, but inside, my chest was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. That confrontation had been only step one. The truth was, my revenge was not about exposing him in front of his colleagues. That was just the opening act. The real plan had been in motion long before I walked into his office. Later that night, Michael stormed through the door, his face twisted with rage. How dare you embarrass me like that, he shouted, slamming his briefcase on the counter. How dare I? I laughed bitterly. You humiliated me the second you brought another woman into our bed. You broke vows. You lied. And you are angry at me for pulling the mask off your face? He stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. You are playing a dangerous game, Emily. Do not forget that everything you have, this house, that car, your life, comes from me. Something inside me snapped. I stared straight into his eyes, unflinching. No, Michael. Everything I have came from me. You only took credit for it. But soon, everyone will know the truth. And when they do, you will regret ever thinking you could destroy me. His face hardened. What are you talking about? I did not answer. Instead, I walked upstairs, leaving him stewing in his confusion. Because he had no idea about the second folder, the one hidden in my dresser. The one that held proof not only of his affairs, but of something even darker. Something illegal. Something that could end his career, his reputation, and his freedom. I had stumbled on it by accident while digging through his financials. Offshore accounts. Shady transfers. Business deals that did not add up. And I was ready to use them. Michael thought betrayal was the worst thing he could do to me. But he had no idea that I now held the power to destroy not only our marriage, but his entire life. The days that followed were a blur of strategy. I did not cry anymore. The tears had dried into something sharper, resolve. My marriage was already ashes, but I refused to let Michael walk away untouched. If betrayal was the game he chose to play, then I would end it in a way he never saw coming. I met with a lawyer. I sat across from a woman named Meredith, her steel-gray eyes fixed on me as I laid out everything, the affairs, the stolen money, the offshore accounts. She listened in silence, then finally leaned back in her chair. You are sitting on dynamite, she said. If what you are saying is true, not only can we win the divorce, we can take him down legally. But you need to be sure this is what you want. Once I pull this thread, there is no turning back. I nodded. My hands shook, but my voice did not. I am sure. He destroyed my marriage. I will not let him destroy me. That night, I returned home to find Michael waiting in the living room. His tie was loosened, his drink half empty, and his eyes cold. We need to talk, he said flatly. I walked past him, setting my purse down. About what? Which woman you plan to see tonight? Enough, he snapped, slamming his glass onto the table. I know you are up to something. You think you can turn this around on me, but you cannot. Without me, you are nothing. You will lose this house, that car, your comfortable life, everything. Do you understand? I looked at him calmly, a smile tugging at my lips. That is where you are wrong, Michael. Because I am not the one about to lose everything. His brows furrowed. What the hell are you talking about? I walked upstairs, retrieved the second folder, and tossed it on the coffee table in front of him. His eyes scanned the pages, and I saw it, the instant recognition, the flash of panic he tried to mask. Offshore accounts. Suspicious wire transfers. Documents that painted him as not only unfaithful, but corrupt. "You went through my files," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Yes," I said firmly. "And now I know who you really are. You did not just betray me, Michael. You betrayed your company, your partners, everyone who trusted you. Do you know what happens when this lands in the wrong hands?" He stood, his face red with fury. "You would not dare." I stepped closer, my eyes locked on his. "Watch me." The next week was a storm. Meredith filed the papers. His company partners were discreetly tipped off. Investigators came sniffing around, and suddenly the man who once strutted like a king was cornered like a rat. He tried everything, begging, threatening, promising change. At one point he even got on his knees, tears streaking down his face. "Emily, please. We can fix this. I will end it with her, with all of them. Just give me another chance." But it was too late. My heart was not a revolving door for his deceit. "I gave you my loyalty, my trust, my body, my best years," I told him. "And you repaid me with lies. You wanted to play games, Michael. Now you are paying the price." Weeks later, the divorce was finalized. The house was mine. Half his assets, mine. His reputation? Ruined. I remember standing in that same living room where he once told me I was nothing without him. The sunlight streamed through the windows, and for the first time in years, I felt free. I walked upstairs, packed the last of his belongings into boxes, and set them by the door. My hands did not shake this time. My chest was not heavy. Instead, I felt something I had not felt in so long, peace. But here is the twist he never saw coming. It was never about destroying him completely. It was about reclaiming myself. About proving that I was never powerless, that betrayal does not get to define me. Michael thought my silence was weakness, but it was strategy. He thought my forgiveness was guaranteed, but it was his trap. And when the time came, I showed him that the woman he underestimated was the one who could end him. The last time I saw him, he was leaving with nothing but a suitcase. He looked broken, but I did not. I stood tall at the doorway, arms crossed, and whispered, "This is what you never expected, Michael. You thought you could take everything from me. But in the end, I took everything from you." He did not reply. He just walked away, and with each step, the weight of his betrayal left my shoulders. It has been months since then. I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I learned to love my own company again. I travel, I paint, I laugh with friends who never betrayed me. And every morning, I look in the mirror and see a woman who refused to be broken. What I did to my cheating husband was never expected. But it was necessary. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge is not in destroying someone, it is in rising so high above their betrayal that they can never touch you again. If my story resonated with you, remember this: betrayal does not define you. Your response does. You are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more powerful than you realize. Share your thoughts below, like this story, and subscribe for more raw, real, and inspiring journeys. And if you have ever walked through the fire of betrayal, tell me in the comments. What did you do that was never expected?